And you're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Koko Digest Morning Show. And today we are commemorating the Eid celebrations, and we're about to have our online news review with two of my co-hosts here. I have two Alajis, very esteemed gentlemen. So, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Yaya.
How are we doing? We're looking very handsome. I didn't know you guys could look like this.
I'm super excited. Because the weekend has been long, and then this Ramadan celebration as well. I wish we can have more of these celebrations so that we can stay at least home for
and get some rest. Yes, it's very good to spend time with our families too. Clement, what about you? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I think my brother said he wish you have such celebrations, so we learn more from the Muslim. We get to understand how they also fellowship, because sometimes we have different ideology, different belief system. But yesterday, certain behind the screen watch, able to understand so many things about the Muslim community, and even how this festive season actually depicts love, peace, and also depicts what over the years we were learning in Arabic. That zakat. This has made us understand that zakat is all about giving unto the needy. So we have got to understand that at the end in this festive season, they extend helping hand to the needy, and it's a good thing for us to do. You see, when you go to Islam, let me speak a little bit about Islam, because today, yes, when you go a little bit. It's like this Christianity. The only difference between them and the Christianity is because they pray through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we pray through exactly. I'm in my element, and we pray through Jesus Christ. So that's the only difference. So in Islam, like when it comes to Christianity, that we have Catholic, we have Methodist, we have Assemblies of God, Pentecost. In Islam, they have different. We have the what we call the Ahmadi Muslim, Ahmadiyya Muslims. We have the Al Sunnah. We have a lot of them comes together to that we have. So the president, even in his speech yesterday, made us understand that some of the Islam community had their prayers, that's the Eid al-Fitr prayer, on Sunday. One national chief imam held his, that was yesterday. And today, there's another denomination of Islam that is going to have theirs at Tamale today. So that is the difference in it. And it's a very wonderful. You wouldn't know if they don't tell you, like the Christian community.
We have some information about this, so we don't seem too clueless. Okay, the little islands in this season was that they have Eid al-Fitr and then they have Eid al-Adha. And Eid al-Fitr is the one where they fast for a month, after a month. So after the month of Ramadan, then the celebration is Eid al-Fitr. Then the next one is Eid al-Adha, where it just depicts the same thing we have in the Bible, where Abraham was about sacrificing his son and he was given a ram to use for the sacrifice. They also believe in that. I mean, well, we are even told that Islam is part of one of the Judaism. It stems from Judaism, actually. So like even Christianity, parts of the history are all from the Judaism, where we have that the kind of worship that Abraham was using in this time. That is where, so it seems to be same father of all nations. Yeah. So Peter, what about you? What's here with us? Don't say we've said all.
Like, as you know, so you guys are more than scholars. I think I have to go back for my.
Don't do this. Shake. I have two shakes here.
Yeah. So I know that this celebration is all about peace, love, and forgiveness. And so I would like to repeat what President Mahama said during his speech at the Black Star Square, where he said that the people of Boku should give peace the chance to reign. And so this is not just about fasting and prayers, but it's about time to, forgive one another, like you said during the motivational quote. It's all about peace and love. And so we are pleading that, like President Mahama said, the people of Boku should just give peace the chance to reign, so that we can all and as one people. And I would like to seize this opportunity to say happy Ramadan to our Muslim brothers and sisters, and that's it's one love. Peace.
Thank you so much for your submission. So let's go quickly into news up, what's happening? Don't, aside the Salah celebrations ongoing, I'm sure there should be news trending here and there.
Yes, there should be news trending here and there. But let me say this pertaining to the Salah celebration, because it happened, I think, about a week or two ago. There was this young guy, a motor rider, and he happened to find a purse of money worth dollars and 2 Samsung phones, which belongs to a very renowned person in Ghana, who a former president of Ghana Bar Association.
Okay.
That's his billions actually got missing. And this young guy found these items on his way between 37 and Ghana Water. That's straight. So the president, that's a former president, Ghana Bar Association president, was wondering where this item fell. Simple and short of the matter is that this young guy, after finding this item, sent it to the house. The wife also opened it. They were like, "Oh, we can't keep this item. So let's either return it to the police or let's hold it." So they held it, and the man called. So when the man called, it was like the item belongs to him. Unfortunately for the man, a friend outside the country in South Africa also called the guy, and he told the guy that the items belong to a very renowned person in Ghana. So anybody that calls, you shouldn't give the items to that very person. So the man, the right owner of the item, was kind of stranded until one or two things happened, and he goes on, okay, it belongs to him, and he gave the items to him.
Wow.
Surprisingly, you see, they recently launched what we call Work Abroad program, initiated by President John Dramani Mahama, where we have the employment minister, we have the CEO for the Youth Employment Agency also there. At that very ceremony, and the Ghana Bar Association former president told the guy that I called you here to surprise you because of what you did. And it's so surprising that in this current economy, someone find a bag full of dollars, full of Ghana cedis, full of 2 new Samsung phone. That's the one you can open. And this guy didn't take any of them, but returned it back to the owner. The guy said that I did all this because I was in the month of Ramadan fasting. Depict how even the month of Ramadan even falsify people. It cleans them and make them holy. Muslims believe that in the month of Ramadan they shouldn't do anything that is contrary to their faith. So I'm saying this just to depict that our brothers and sisters in the Muslim community believes when it comes to fasting and when it comes to the month of Ramadan, unlike other people who believe that it's normal for us to do. People hold this to high esteem. So I would say congratulations to the young guy. He has gotten a free payment of his everything to abroad. Now he's going to work abroad and stay there for the rest of his life. And that is definitely even more than if he had stolen those dollars, he would, because that money would finish. There's this thing they say, easy come, easy go. Money you get easily tends to just vanish very easily. And this goes back to even admonish us about our brotherhood, you know, the motivational quotes we had today, that humanity is but a single brotherhood. If you did not love your neighbor, or if the guy did not, at least in the month of Ramadan, he would have stolen this money or something like that. Or even if he did not, you can see that because of this thing belongs to somebody else, I have to be honest, I have to be transparent, you have to be truthful. So he kept the items and made sure to give them back to the owner. And this goes to even admonish all of us that regardless of the holy month of Ramadan or any other time, we should be honest, we should be truthful. Just like somebody would see these items and think, oh, my destiny has changed. But my destiny has
you
changed.
realize that after being honest, after being truthful, keeping the money and giving to the owner, he got something bigger, a bigger door opened up onto him. And this is what we are all trying to say, that let us love our neighbors, you know, like let's just be open and honest. If we are not, because if it was somebody else, even some of our brethren, they would have gone to do, they will sell this phone, use it for other things, you know, they'll say God has opened door for them. Thank you so much. So Peter, what do you also have trending?
Oh, so it's about this issue started last week about the missing containers. So we are still waiting. We are still waiting to find out the real, you know, should I say perpetrators, the people behind this stolen, you know, ECG items. And so over the weekend, we also heard some renowned names, like the minority leader and one other person, I don't actually recall his name. He is involved in, you know, the items allegedly. And so we are waiting for the finance minister, the energy minister and the people involved to, come out with some findings so that we know the way forward. Because this is a very serious issue. Selling, government properties isn't something we should tolerate in this country. In as much as it is government property and you've been putting in control of them, doesn't mean you have the right to do whatever thing you want to do. And then this goes down or a long way to, remind us what President Mahama said about holding his, appointees responsible. They have to be accountable to Ghanaians. And so whatever position you're holding, thinking that, no, you've been given the power, you've been given the green light and this and that, and you think that at the end of the day, the people of Ghana wouldn't come to you, then you have to sit down and rethink again, because this time around, we are serious and we wouldn't leave anything go unchecked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. This almost sounds like a threat, but it should be a threat.
It should be. Let me just add a little bit to my brother's own. So the reason why Honorable Afenyo Makin's name is in the space is because he was the board chair of ECG. That's the reason why people are talking about him. It's not because he is really the person. It's because he was a board chair. And people believe that if you are a board chair or a board member, then you need to be investigated. So it's all allegation. We are praying that the real truth of this issue comes out. Yes, the minister yesterday, on Saturday, was speaking to one of the media houses, and he made it known that these Chinese companies or these Indian companies, they buy these items from Ghana at a very low cost, and after processing or recycling, they send it back to China and get the cables back again and we buy it again at higher cost.
Oh, goodness.
That is what is really happening. So he was like, it's not good thing for us to do. So we are hoping to see the real people who are behind all this. But away from that, before we get to our main news, there was a news that popped up last weekend, and it talks about some prisoners of Insawam being graduating at UCC, 63 of them.
Okay.
63 of prisoners who have graduated at University of Cape Coast. When I studied, I was like, hey, how come that prisoners are able to school and are able to graduate? This tells us the kind of country we are building. Over the years, we realize they neglect prisoners, thinking that you are the bad person.
Yeah.
But now they are trying to tell us that even a prisoner can do more than what the other people are doing. And surprisingly, we have about 10 of them getting first class. People studied what we call Bachelor of Education, GHS education. And out of this, 3 of them had first class, 10 with second class upper, 19 with second class lower division, and 6 with third class. When you go to Bachelor of Commerce Management, we have 1 had a second class upper, 7 obtained second class lower division, and 3 received third class, and 6 secured passes. The last one was Bachelor of Commerce Accounting. So we have some of the prisoners studying accounting.
Wow.
So that should tell you that when they come out, in as much of what they learned at the prisons, at the cell, or whatever they went through, they will come out and do more than what we expect from them. And accounting students, 2 of them had second class upper division, 2 attained second class lower division, and 1 received pass. And all these people did their education through the system of University of Education.
Yeah. I mean,
University of Cape Coast.
Okay, the original was the mandate of prisons is even to reform criminals or people with bad behavior, rehabilitate them. And I think this is a very, very good thing, because there are usually even rumors or allegations that people go to prison and even come out worse than they went in. And because they become more hard criminals, they go and learn other kinds of bad behavior and criminal behaviors. But if our universities and our governments, our systems are actually putting in efforts for this, where prisoners can attain a degree, they know that, okay, I can amount to something. Or even if after, how sometimes you're sentenced to about 20 years in prison, when you come out, what are you going to do with your life? But in this situation where you've been able to attain a degree, if in a few years or a few months you're out, you can actually go and apply for a job. Sure. And your story could even be inspiring that, okay, yes, you were incarcerated, but you had a little renewing of your mind or reform that, okay, I can do something with my life. I have changed. The crime is not the way. Let me rather use education or use something else. This could actually to be employed, even though there may be the stigma of, yes, this is an ex-convict or a criminal or something, but just the fact that you've been able to take up that initiative, because I'm sure some of the other prisoners were not interested in something like this, but those who were, I mean, we can only wish them the best and hope that they get something out of life when they come out. So please, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. So our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. Send in your comments, join the conversation here with my sheikhs, and we will read out your comments as well. So let's go quickly into the online news. So the first story says, Mahama vows to demolish illegal structures blocking waterways and wetlands. So it says here, President John Dramani Mahama has vowed to take a drastic measure against illegal construction in waterways and protected areas, warning those responsible will face consequences. Now, he is determined to tackle Ghana's annual flooding crisis by demolishing structures that are waterways and threatening the environment. Now, speaking at the 2025 National Eid al-Fitr celebration at the Black Star Square, the president condemned the growing trend of land encroachment, which has led to the devastating floods and property damage. And he says here, I must address a deeply troubling issue that the illegal construction of buildings in waterways are causing an extensive destruction of property. This is by our president in quote. So he says people are going to be
troubling issue.
Okay.
Construction of buildings in waterways, causing flooding and extensive destruction of property. As we know, the rains are about to start, and already we can see flooding because people have built and blocked the rivers, and so the rivers have nowhere to go but to back up. This reckless disregard for planning regulations and environmental safety is a major contributor to the devastating floods that continue to plague our communities. I'm aware of instances where private businesses colluding with some chiefs are turning water retention areas, Ramsaya sites, into built-up zones. Let me be clear, this must stop. Those structures will be pulled down. We will not allow a few selfish individuals to endanger the lives and livelihoods of countless others. The law will be enforced, and those who flout it will face the consequences. Finally,
so it seems our president is going to be taking very drastic measures against people who are encroaching on lands. But if you look at it critically, it seems that it's more than one issue. Rural-urban drift, then leading to housing, leading to poor sanitation. I mean, the encroachment is what's causing the sanitation issue, but what about the people who are coming to Accra to seek greener pastures? Because most of the time when the rains come, it's mainly Accra and some other areas, but mainly Accra that we have these devastating floods. What do you think?
Well, so before I make any comment, I would like to commend the president for bringing up this one at the time when we actually need to work on the flooding issue. You know, Ghana rainy season starts from April through to October. And then even before yesterday, we had some rains. I don't call it drizzled. And we saw the kind of damage it caused here in Accra. And so to add up to what the president said, I believe that apart from, demolishing illegal, structures on waterways and other stuff, I also feel that the real issue stem from, our behaviors as people in the country. Now, when you take a look at our choked gutters, when you go to the market, all our gutters are choked, dirt, filth, and debris all over. And some of these things, you don't need the president to come and tell you to keep your surroundings, neat. It's very sad in this country that everything we want people in authority to come and tell us to do this and do that. It is very bad. And so as part of his, initiative to ensure that there are good drainage system, when you go to our marketplaces, like let me take for instance, when you go to our marketplaces, our mothers have rented shops to sell their things. But when you go there, you will see that they are encroaching the line. They even cover the gutters where water is supposed to pass through. Coming to the roadside, which is very bad. When it rained, we were here when it started raining, so we had to wait for the rain to subside before we go. You can't pass to the area there. Very dirty, stinking, just like the whole place is full of water. It is very bad. It is very bad, and we are all aware that the Town and Country Planning Department under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is responsible for this planning. And then when you go to some of the areas, there are no proper demarcations. Places that are reserved for roads and streets, you see people building there. Who is responsible?
Most of these people go and pay somebody and then they are able to overlook it. These are all things.
It's not fair. It's not fine.
I can see how Al-Haji is speaking with passion because he just finished Ramadan and we are speaking with passion. It's true, it's very true because yesterday in the speech, let me say the preaching or the interpretation by the PRO of the chief imam, there was a line I took in. He said, the resetting Ghana is not only the responsibility of the government, but the responsibility of the citizens.
Yes.
If we citizens were able to resolve, then the country will reset. If we, the ones down, we don't reset, then nothing at all in the country can reset. Because if your father says that go and sleep, and you say you will not sleep, your father can't sleep for you.
Yeah.
That is the kind of country we live now. So thanks be to God that during the speech yesterday, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, she was there, and I believe she heard what the president said. And as my brother is saying, when it comes to Accra, it's something you can't talk of. Because when you go to a place like Koko, yes, where Dr. Randy Abbey is, it's the frontage of Koko. How the traders come close very to the road to sell. Sometimes I wonder what happens if a car brakes fails. If a car brakes fails, that is when they'll come and cry on the government. That's when they come and cry on the president. But we know the right thing. So why do we expect someone to tell us that what you are doing is wrong? Is it because we want something to eat? But not in that manner. So you know that where you are building, it is a waterlogged or it is a path for water. Why do you still want to build there?
Yes, but somebody sold the land to him.
So tell the person who's selling the land to you that I don't want it. So
it is a multifaceted issue because this is a waterway and someone decides they're selling this land, and it's even very difficult to get land. A lot of people are also moving into Accra, so you realize that people will take whatever they can get. You see, so someone is building on a waterway now. So I think even there are some videos which are jokes where the rent is so low because it's a waterlogged area. So when the rain falls, the whole place is flooded. So it's shown, and then the rent is like 100 cedis, but it is dry. It increases when we're in the dry season, and these are all serious issues that are being made jokes. And even though you guys seem to be focused on the market women, what about people in the slums? Because I think some months back we discussed these electric building near these transformers, and then sometimes there's an electrical fault, and then their little shacks are bent, and some of them even get affected. In situations like that where all these things are going to be checked, what do you think the president is going to do about all these people who become displaced? Because like again I said, some of these jokes, I think when they demolished, was it the Sodom and Gomorrah area, there was this place where and then they say they break or they take everything, my mansion. What happens to these people who are displaced? This is also something we need to think about.
Yeah, so Yara, I think aspect of the women, market women. Let me talk about the aspect of the assemblies, the municipals, those in authority. In as much as citizens have a role to play, they equally have a role to play. The question is, who gave those people the permits? In Ghana, we know that before you construct a building, you need to get a permit from the assembly. So who gave them that permit to build over there? So when you come to a place like Accra, when you are walking, you see the right on someone's produce permit. The next time you see the structure is still ongoing.
there, or even they painted over it,
and it's still ongoing. So the question is, why produce permit? Is it because of the area the person is building, or is just because the person didn't attain the necessary permit for that very structure? Some structure you ordinary person can know that baby almost dying and yet, but you see stop work produce permit, and the next time they've completed the house and the person is staying in it. So the question is, those in authority, if you are demolishing, demolish it. You shouldn't. No, you're right. The truth, you should. President to come and say at the end of the day, everybody will be like, the president is being wicked. You see, that's the whole game. I understand that nobody wants to be blamed for being wicked or for being the cruel person, but we need to take this. We need to correct what's the wrongdoing. We shouldn't indulge people to continue doing it's wrong in the country. So I expect that moving forward, the assemblies, because we all know that in the law, you need your plan, your building plan, you need to get permits. They need to come and inspect while the building is ongoing. So the question is, when these people are coming to inspect, don't they know that where the structure is no good? If they do, then what do they do? So I think the president needs to hold the authorities responsible, because if you put heat on the head of the assemblies put heat on the head of the ordinary man.
Yes, but to the next story, all what you're saying is true, but in Ghana here, where everything seems to be politically motivated, if the president something like this, you can even get party members telling him that no, if you don't take care, it will affect the next elections. So that's why I was asking that, with this solution coming, or with coming to displace these people, because this building permits thing you're talking about, people living in kiosks, they just want to lay somewhere to lay their head, So that's why my question is mainly that, where are these people going to be relocated? What is happening with our affordable housing? If we say affordable, is it something that the layman can also afford? Because
it's 1,000 a month.
Because I remember when, with that same transformer issue, after some time, the demolitions happened and everything, but after some time, the people were going back, and we spoke about it here. So what happens if they do all the demolitions, then the heat, subsides, and then the people start encroaching all over again?
So, Yara, I agree with you on what you're saying, but then it is high time we take bold decisions. In as much as if this demolition exercise takes place, it is going to displace like place to sleep. It is high time we take bold decisions. This didn't start yesterday. Now, we all do not want to remember 2015, 3rd June. What happened? Flood.
Yeah.
And it was because of our negligence. And so, on the aspect of what you said, so I will say this again, that people should not take positions and be in their offices. And so those responsible of issuing permits and license for building and all those stuff, once you issue, you have to follow up to see whether the person is going according to what is required of the person. And this issue also do not rest on only flood. Now we've had, since this year, we've had fire outbreaks.
That's the next story.
Yes, this is due to the fact that we don't have, demarcations. We don't have access to places. Sometimes you hear of issues that there's fire outbreak here. They'll call the fire service. They'll get there and they'll tell us they don't have access to the place. So you see, so this issue needs to be tackled. Like, we should forget about everything. This started way back 2000. And when you try to talk of 2015, 2008, the worst of it all.
Recurrent,
yes. So it's high time, in as much as they are Ghanaians and we think about them, we have to do the right thing. And I'm sure that the president would, put, measures in place to look at those people as well.
Okay, so let's take a few comments and we get to the next story. This one says, great outfits, Clog TV, Alaji Clement and Alaji Peter with Haji Ayara. I am Derek from Achimota. Derek, you be careful. HM Joe also says, happy Eid Mubarak, Koko Digest team, Hajia and the Sheikhs, Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. So the next story here says, new jobbing, 1 dead, 2 hospitalized after gas explosion at Oyoko. So a gas explosion at a home in Oyoko in the eastern region has left a young boy and a woman fighting for their lives in the eastern region at the Eastern Regional Hospital with severe burns. Tragically, another victim, Asante Rose, a student at Koforidua Technical University, succumbed to her injury shortly after arrival at the hospital. According to sources, leak was identified in the the kitchen and Rose, who wanted to locate the exact source of the leakage, unfortunately lit a match and in the process led to the explosion. My problem with this is, growing up, we had a lot of TV adverts showing us how to operate our gas cookers and things like that, how to turn off a fire with a fire extinguisher or a wet blanket. But now, I mean, compared to now, we have over 50 TV channels on our TVs. TV stations are coming up left and right, radio stations, but we don't see those kinds of educational content anymore. What is happening?
Yara, let's put it straight to viewers. Clock TV is always giving viewers updates on fire, how to fight fire. I think my programs managers whispered into my ears. That's what we've been doing. And viewers can connect to it. Clock TV, when it comes to education on fire, every morning from the hours of 7, 8, we do that for them. Yes, when they are not having Koko Digest morning show, we give them such education on their screen. It seems viewers are not taking some of this education serious. That could be the reason. Because if not for that, Yara, I would say that it's a very sad incident for the family of Rose and the neighbor too. Yeah. But we should understand, whenever there is a gas leakage, there are certain things we shouldn't do in the first place.
Exactly. This information to be as common anymore, because they used to tell us that if you smell any kind of gas, go and check your cylinder, go and check your gas cooker first, make sure everything is off. But somehow our bereaved here just decided to lit the match, you know, and it's stemming from a lack of education. I mean, we've had the fire service come here a few times, but we don't seem to. You see how we had the information. I remember this malaria-free future. You know, those kinds of educational videos and content. Those things stuck in our head. That song now, you know, because we learned, stagnant waters in ponds, clear anything, your tires, your cans and things like that. That was educating us on how to even keep our community clean to prevent malaria. We also have things like that for fire, where you would see a group of people standing there, someone is holding a fire extinguisher with a cylinder. But now it seems it's only telenovelas we are seeing. What's happening?
As I said, yes, all the novella, but Clock TV gives them the education. Putting that one of your, I want to say that fire service education need to go down as you're saying, because in those days, crutch songs, some of the songs that we have educate us on a particular aspect of life. So I believe that fire service or Ghana National Fire Service should be able to find its way where some of this education would enter into structure from onset, so that once you are growing, you have this knowledge. Once you are going to be singing this song, so the little thing you hear, you know that, this is a song they taught me some years ago, and I can quickly apply it in that very situation. You talk about the aspect of fire extinguisher. The question is, how many households are having fire extinguishers?
But you know, some too, they have these blankets. They'll tell you wet the blanket and then lay it on, because how many households have fire extinguishers?
And even, like you said, with those extinguishers, the question, do they know how to
operate it? But with what Clement you're also saying, I don't think it should lie only on the fire service, because now there's a lot of information out there. I think there's a term for it, it's information overload, where you can go to YouTube, how to prevent fire, or what do I need to know about fire outbreak, and you can learn something. So if even in schools, let's say the headmaster, you find a very informative YouTube video, or show it to the schools, for the National Fire Service to come, or so and so institutions up there. Else we will sit here with our hands in our ties without doing anything.
You want to say something?
Yeah, so like you rightly said, but then there's been this perception that we don't like reading, and so hidden search information there will be very difficult for some of us to go there to search. And so I believe, like what you said, there should be this kind of social media campaign, so that there will be songs that will resonate with. I rightly said malaria. I remember of HIV/AIDS and all those things.
Even send your girl child to school
and all those things. So some of these things are very important, because like you said, a lot of information on the internet that people can access and really learn how to do things. But the question is, would they access it? And they have other important things doing. So most of the youth right now like to be on TikTok, watch funny videos, and also I can also say that these TikTokers can also take in their content try to educate us on some of these important issues in our various communities.
But I don't believe in pandering to people. People are dying around you.
Yes.
A TikTok influencer should now show you how to look for that content yourself. Because
the whole issue is we try to do what we are interested in. That is
so your
the
life
thing. Exactly. Let me put on. We try to do what we are so much interested in. So if the person is not interested in that area, that is why my programs manager will tell you that when they are showing those kind of things, people give them feedback that you keep on showing this too much. It's not like keep on showing it. We want to educate them.
Yes.
And they should watch out for us because we would trust that time we show on TV. Things our TikTok handles for them to watch it. So they should keep on watching Clock TV, follow us on our social media handles and search information. If no other TV station, we will take it for them. As I said, me I've been my TV station, so I have a little 3 tips for fire. Yes, he said if you experience leakages, this is the first thing you're supposed to do. 1, leave the building if possible. If you think you can't get to the source of that smell, just leave the building. 2, avoid using electrical switches or appliances instantly. And 3, do not light matches, lighters or candles. You could see our sister, she's not aware of all this.
Yeah.
She's not aware of all this. So that's why we said they should keep watching Clock TV.
Wow, thank you so much. And please, let's make sure to keep our rooms well ventilated as well. So when there's a leakage, some of the air can take it out, so it will not be concentrated in our homes. Do look for your gas switch, turn it off, turn anything you can, then open your windows and leave the place and wait for some time, find some help wherever you can. Next is the lifestyle segment, which will bring us excerpts from the Salah celebrations. Then the will also be bringing us news as always, and the main discussion will be breaking the stigmatization around mental health. So today's conversations are going to be very packed for you. Do stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum. Inagua Barika de Sanla Zua Clock TV. I am Miriam Abena Adede, but for today you can call me Aisha Yakubu. I hope I tried with the Hausa. Well, this is how we welcome you to the lifestyle segment of the Koko Digest Morning Show here on Clock TV. This is our special Eid celebration, and as part of our lifestyle segment, we want to know how our Muslim brothers and sisters celebrate this special day. You know, after 30 days of intense fasting and prayers, they come together as one to pray and commemorate this day in unity. And so let's get straight into finding out how they go about the Eid celebration. Once again, I am Aisha Yakubu. Okay, so we are right inside the Black Star Square where the Eid celebration is happening, and as you can see, the whole place is, you know, geared up. We are firing up with so much excitement. You can see people around, you know, they've come in their numbers to join hands with their brothers and sisters in commemorating this day, and so it promises to be an exciting moment here on the lifestyle segment. And as we can see over there, we have our security personnel all ready to be sent to their different posts to ensure that safety protocols are being observed here at the Black Star Square. And so we are currently waiting for the beginning of the prayers. So, as I said earlier, it's all fun over here at the Black Star Square, and we want to get to know them a little more. Please, what's your name and the name of the band?
My name is Sonny Diamond. The name of the band is Alubiagba Group.
You do this all the time?
Yeah, we'll do this all the times.
Okay. Is it for free or you're just here to entertain people?
No, for today it's for free. We are here to entertain people, but for an occasion, maybe burial, funeral, birthday and all that, so we take money for it.
Okay, so as you just said, occasions it is you know, priced, but for today it is free. They are just here to entertain their Muslim brothers and sisters, and I'm really having a good time here. I mean, it is an entertainment moment here at the Black Star Square where the Eid celebration is happening. Okay, so I want you to say something to your brothers and sisters in Hausa.
Okay. Barka da sallah, Allah mai maita, Allah kai mu sabon shekara mu duka bukatun mu ya biya. Barka da sallah, barka mu da kade, Allah kai mu sabon shekara bunda muke nema duka mun samu, Allah ba baki daya.
Barka mu da sallah, Allah kai mu sabon shekara raka muna tare da juna, muna celebrate sallah together in a peaceful way.
Okay, so I just heard let's celebrate Salah together in a peaceful way. It is all about excitement. Can I speak to you?
Yeah.
Please, what's your name?
Mariam Akrama.
Oh, okay, so why are you here? I know you are here for Eid, but why?
Please let me speak to you. So
Okay, speak to you.
me patron and then the me must say person me ba sorry or ha say. Me ba sorry or ha say that. I ti man Koko fie.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so she said she has been doing her prayers at a location for some time, but today she decided to come to the Independence Square to pray with them. I can see a blogger here, my very own GH Brain. Hey, Charlie, now that I'm a Muslim.
Oh, we are here to support them, and they say if you go to Rome, you should do what Rome.
Guys, I really like your outfit.
Oh yeah.
So I just get support.
Oh yeah, definitely, and capture what's going on here to the people.
Okay,
That's why we're
shout
here.
outs.
Oh, I want to give a shout out to all the YouTube hustlers out there, all the big people, the people that hold us down when we're coming up and all that. A very big shout out going out to my mom and my family.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, what's your name?
Kamaldin Wilson.
Okay, so I want to understand what this Eid celebration is all about.
Okay, it's about fasting. It's about we the Muslims. It's a compulsory something that we have to fast for 30 days. So it's something that Muhammad did, so we have to follow.
Okay, and I can see you are so happy about it.
It's a celebration that we have to, because it's not easy.
Okay, so do you have any shout outs to your family?
Oh, shout outs to my friends and my loved ones. Yeah.
Girlfriend?
Oh no, I don't have a girlfriend.
Yay!
All my friends too. And to the Muslim community too. Yeah, shout outs to everyone.
Barka kade.
Okay, so I can see you're here with your kids, right? So it's all about Eid. Can you tell us what Eid is all about in Hausa?
Eid de to ranar munna ne da kowane al'ummar musulmi, so da shi za ka ce Eid al-Fitr. So mun yi azumi hakan ga muka gama azumi at least muna gama 29 or 30. So mun gama 30 na filan da muke yi na shine ake kira Eid al-Fitr. So yau muna nan ga za mu yi Eid al-Fitr ne. Mu gode ma Allah.
I wish I could give you a translation, but you know, it's in Allah's hands. Hello, how are you? What is your name? Okay, and you?
Yep, Dabigu.
Oh, okay. I like your dress. Happy Eid, okay? Right, so we are still here at the Black Star Square where the Eid celebration or the special prayers for the Eid is about to happen. And as you can see behind me, we have our Muslim sisters and mothers seated waiting for the prayer section. And you can see right in front of us that we have our men also there. And that is a unique thing about our Muslim brothers and sisters. Males and female do not come together to pray. They are separated for reasons best known to them. But we'll find out what that reason is. Let's try to get to speak to a few people about the practice itself. We have Alaji here. He's going to introduce himself and give us a brief explanation as to why we have the females separated from the male.
Medindi Mr. Ibrahim Segu. Nentia Islam echiche mu ne se komsheni se ema ye sala ense se yehu ema na se ma ne gina yechi na yenso ye wanim na se wo ba ya sole dem ho a ye de akwa sole dem ye de ade atwam te ne ba mba no wachire na yenso ye wanim Islam kire yense bibia mu no emrama di anim na ema na di echi yesi ye yi omututwi no na emu no omo no ewo Islam sum no ye oba nye okandifo di ba ma na ye okandifo minim kakra no.
My name is Alaji Kilelu. Yeah.
Okay. So we want to understand something. We can see that the male, when during prayers, the male are always in front and then the women are behind. What is the perception behind that?
Yeah, in Islam, normally males are separated from the female, so that tradition is also, being practiced when it comes to prayer. Normally, the male leads. We are the strongest, so okay. we always lead so that our women will be behind giving us, morals.
Okay, so I also want to understand why you did 30 days fasting before the Eid celebration.
MashaAllah, the Quran says fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those who came before you. If you realize that the generation that came before us, they also had their own way of fasting. When you look at the Bible, even say that Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. That's why the Quran has also prescribed for us to fast for 29 days or 30 days. And inshallah, yesterday was the 30th day, and after fasting, we have to crown it with the Eid. So today is Eid day. It simply means a day of what? Celebration. Sure.
Okay, and I'm happy that I can see younger ones. Were they also able to do the fast?
Yeah, normally we train them, the person who will do like half day fasting from 4:30 to somewhere 1 o'clock. When we do the afternoon prayer, then the person can break. So it's considered as half. So the next day the person does same and he gets a full day fast.
Okay, let me speak to them. Hello, what's your name?
Ramadan,
is that not the fasting?
Yes. He was born in the month of...
Okay, please explain that again.
Yeah, he was born in the month of fasting, Ramadan. So we named him after the month.
Okay,
so
are you also Ramadan? Oh, okay. So were you able to do the fasting?
yes.
How many days? Don't lie.
4
Talk.
4 days. Just 4. How was the experience like?
It was good.
It was good. So next year, how many days looking at can you do? Like how many days?
I'll try and do all.
You try and do. Oh, what about you?
My name is Shafiq. I did 30.
30. How old are you?
40.
And you did the whole day, full day?
Yes.
Wow, he's a man. He's a man. What about you?
I also did 30.
You did 30. What's your name?
Hood.
Oh, okay. Please, what about?
I'm Ahmed. I also fasted 30
days.
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Right. And how was the experience like?
Oh, it was nice. It was blissful, and it's just a good experience to fast. It's a good experience because especially when you go into the spiritual being, you abstain from certain things and you hope that after the fasting you are able to continue with that. Yeah, so we are grateful to the Almighty.
Alaji, lastly, did you have any expectations before the fasting, and are you hoping that those expectations will be met?
Oh, sure. We pray to God that He give us long life and prosperity. We also pray for good health. You know, fasting also help us to clean our system, both spiritually and then physically. So my expectation is that after the fasting, God will heal me spiritually and then physically, so that I become fit, inshallah, and replenish my life, inshallah.
So any message to your family or loved ones?
Inshallah. Barakah to my mother Hajja Leila in Salaga. Barakah to my big brother Alhaji Adam. Barakah to my wife Hajja Atawa. Barakah to my kids Baba Ramadan, Hajja Leila, and Rauda too, and then Shafiq, and then Baba Hudu, mashallah. And barakah to all Ghanaians, you know.
You too.
Barakah to all my family members.
And your classmates?
Yeah.
Barakah to all the people from Salaga. Happy Eid to all of them.
Barakah to my classmates and my
What's the name of your school?
Empire School.
Barakah to all Muslims.
And yeah, Barakah thank you. There's no celebration in Ghana without chinchenga or kebab, and so we are here to find out how business is going from our gentleman. Hello, Alad Abochi, sorry.
Yes.
Your friend was saying.
Pacho Noah.
Okay, business of course saying.
I think I started into a chance. Ibia mbeto amaya.
Now what shy better?
Ibia me jidi say mbeto amaya.
Na debi Eid bia na ya wo ba na wo ye adwuma wo ba bi fufu.
Eid bia ye ba ebe ye.
Na se nyama enam ne bo akosoro na se e wo fom.
Oh, no bo akosoro pa o.
Ti se asese do akoye se.
10 cedi.
Wow, and a kebab banka sai.
10 cedi.
To be 10 cedi. We are still here. It's all about the Eid celebration, and I am sandwiched by two, men, very built men. Let me get to know them. Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please, your name.
My name is Dawood.
Okay. Please, what about you?
Aziz.
Okay, so it's all about Eid. We want to understand why this day is very significant to all Muslims. Who do I start with?
It's the end of the Ramadan, the fasting. So we are born, whenever is the end, you have to come out to what? Pray. To give thanks to the Almighty for giving us life and what? Healthy to able to complete the fasting successfully. So we always come out like this on this occasion to give thanks and celebrate to the Almighty.
Square, where the special Eid celebration is happening, and as part of our lifestyle we promise to give you variety of things happening here. And so I am seated right in the midst of our Muslim sisters while they are waiting to start their prayer section. Hello Hajiya, barka da sallah.
Barka ka dai, Allah maimaita muna, Allah ya kai mu sabon shekara, Allah ya nuna muna azumin Ramadan da lafiya, Allah sa kuma mu ga karshen shi lafiya. Alherin da ke ciki Allah ka tabbatar muna da shi. Chief Imam Allah kara mai yawancin rai. Ni ne Hajiya Jamila diyan Chief Imam Nuhu Sharubutu. Yau safiyar sallah ina yi ma ƴan uwana musulmai duk duniya ko ina musu salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Allah ubangije kai mu sabon shekara. Allah hada hankulan mu, Allah ya ba Allah ji kan mamatanmu, Allah ji kan iyayenmu ya musu gafara, Allah ba su aljannatul firdaus kyauta, Allah ya kiyaye mu ya kare mu, Allah ka ba mu lafiya, iyayenmu duka Allah ka musu gafara. Yau muna filin Eid, Allah ya sa mu ga farkon shi lafiya, mu ga karshe shi lafiya. Ramadan ubangiji kai mu sabon shekara. Salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Amin. Guys, so she is apparently the daughter or a family member of the chief imam. Yeah, so she mentioned her name, and that was how I got to know. She is a daughter of the chief imam, and as you saw, she gave some intense prayer over there.
Barkanmu da sallah. Allah maimaita muna. Allah ji kan marigaya duka. Mun gode ma Allah. Mun ga wanga lokacin ga. Mu yi zumunci. Gwanja Allah kiyaye mu da kiyayewa. Ina gaida babana Chief Imam. Barkanmu da sallah. Da yayanina duka. Barkanmu da sallah. Ajiya Moda, Ajiya Abu dukansu. Ina gaida kowa da kowa. Ubangiji Allah ya kai mu sabon shekara. Allah ya kiyaye mu da kiyawa. Albarkan da yake cikin ubangiji Allah ya yi muna. Assalamu alaikum.
That was a special message from our beautiful sister to her dear brothers and sisters out there, and she's wishing everyone good health, prosperity, and good life out there. It is all about the Eid celebration here at the Black Star Square.
My Muslim brothers and sisters, I greet you in the Islamic greeting of peace. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ramadan is more than just abstaining from food and drink. It is a time for deep spiritual reflection. It is a time for self-discipline, and it is a time for kindness towards others. This period invites us to cleanse our hearts of bitterness while embracing the principles of patience, love, and humility. Ghana is a nation blessed with religious harmony. We have built a society where Christians and Muslims coexist peacefully with other religions. We share in each other's celebrations, we support one another in times of need, and we work together for the progress of our nation. This is a blessing we must never take for granted. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches us that the greatest amongst us are those who promote peace for others. Ghana's development will not be determined by our divisions, but by our unity. I therefore urge all Ghanaians, especially our religious leaders, our community elders, and our youth, to keep fostering peace and understanding amongst us.
Malam ya ce na farko bayan godiya ga Allah yana gode ma wanga ni'iman da Allah ya ba mu kasar Ghana.
To begin with, after expressing our profound thankfulness to the Almighty Allah, we are still also grateful to Him for this favor that is granted our nation.
Wani ni'ima ne Allah ya ba mu?
What favor or grace am I referring to?
Allah ya yi mana ni'ima da shanin hajjin da Allah ya kawo mana sauki a karkashin jagoranci dana mai suna President John Dramani Mahama.
The favor I'm referring to is the price of Hajj that has been reduced as part of the leadership of my own dear son, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Now, Sa'annan nima na biyu kuma abinda dana ya bamu na nuna farin ciki da samun hutun kasa a ranar da muke sallah ya kara mana kwana daya kuma.
My second reference to the grace of Allah within this time is the additional holiday that has been granted by His Excellency the President that has made our celebration more smooth and orderly in this year.
So happy birthday to my friend, like my schoolmate back in SHS, Gabriel. I'm wishing him a happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday to me, Madam, for Aisha or outside her. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Da wannan gaida kowa da kowa to barkamu da sallah mana. Barka ka da Allah ya maimaita muna, Allah ya maimaita muna, Allah ya gwada muna sabon shekara. Allah ya sa kafin wannan sabon shekara na mun fiya ka. Allah ya sa kafin wannan sabon shekara mun fiya ka. Allah ya jika margaye mu. Allah ya jika margaye mu, Allah ya sa sun futa, Allah ya sa sun futa. Mu ma lokaci mai Allah ya sa mu cika da imani kai addinin musulunci mu kan la ilaha illallah Muhammadu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mutane da suka riga mu gidan gaskiya Allah ya jikan su. Mutane da suka riga mu gidan gaskiya Allah ya jikan su. Mutane da suka riga mu gidan gaskiya Allah ya jikan su. Su Isaka da su Ibrahim da su Haruna da su Alhaji Alkasim Allah ya jikan su. Allah ya jikan su. Allah ya sa sun futa. Allah ya sa sun futa. Allah ya sa sun futa. Mu ma lokaci mai kala sai mu cika da imani. Kakanni mu da babanni mu Allah ya sa musu albarka. Allah ya sa musu albarka. Mu ma da muka saura cikin duniya ga Allah ya muna albarka. Allah ya muna albarka. Mutanen da ba su da lafiya Allah ka ba su lafiya. Mutanen da ba su da lafiya Allah ka ba su lafiya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Salam alaikum, salam alaikum. This is how far the Lord or Allah has brought us. This is why we draw the curtains on today's lifestyle segment of our special Eid celebration happening here at the Black Star Square. I hope you got informed, educated, and of course entertained. My name is Miriam Abna Adede, but for today, Sunana Aisha Yakubu. Bye.
Assalamu alaikum. Eid Mubarak. Today I'm called Clement Yabankwe, and as we are in the festive season of Eid al-Fitr, you can call me Abubakar Ibrahim bin Ibrahim. Starting with, the Bank of Ghana is taking additional steps to manage liquidity and maintain macroeconomic stability. Following its 123rd Monetary Policy Committee meeting, Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama announced a policy rate increase to 28% alongside three key measures. 1. Introducing a 273-day financial instrument to improve liquidity management. 2. Strengthening oversight of banks' net open positions to ensure compliance and reduce risk. Third one, reviewing the cash reserve ratio structure to balance stability and economic growth. Bank of Ghana reaffirmed its commitment to price stability and fiscal consolidation, stressing that tight monetary policy is essential to controlling inflation and safeguarding the economy. Away from Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the government has announced again falling short of its treasury bill target by 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. According to Bank of Ghana data, it sought to raise 5.64 billion Ghana cedis, but received only 4.11 billion Ghana cedis in bids, resulting in a 27.1% under subscription. Authorities reject 595 Ghana cedis million in bids.
For the 91-day bill, 3.5 billion Ghana cedis was tendered, with 3 billion Ghana cedis accepted. The 182-day bill saw full acceptance of 582.87 million cedis, while 619 million Ghana cedis was tendered for the 364-day bill. But only 500 million Ghana cedis was accepted. Interest rates on treasury bills range from 15% to 18%, with slight declines for the 91-day bill and 182-day bills, while the 364-day bill remained at 18.85%. The shortfall follows the Bank of Ghana's recent policy rate hike from 27% to 28%.
In our last story, Ghana is seeing a boost in export earnings, with Bank of Ghana data showing total exports rising to $4.3 billion United States dollars in February 2025, up from $2.87 billion United States dollars a year earlier. Imports also saw a slight increase to $2.67 billion United States dollars from $2.5 billion United States dollars.
The external sector is strengthening, driven by a 49.9 year-on-year surge in exports, led by gold up 63% and cocoa up 126%, signaling a strong cocoa sector rebound. This has improved external liquidity, with gross international reserve reaching $9.4 billion, covering 4.2 months of imports, up from 4.0 months at the end of 2024. The trade balance improved significantly, with a surplus of $1.6 billion compared to $386.9 million in February 2024. Gold remained the top export at $2.3 billion, followed by cocoa at $835 million, while crude oil exports declined to $581 million from $620 million.
On the same story, analysts credit gold's strong performance to rising prices and investor demand, while cocoa recovery fuels optimism despite challenges like adverse weather and swollen shoot diseases affecting production. This is all we have for you on Business Update segment. As I said earlier, I am Abubakar Ibrahim bin Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of the show.
breaking the stigmatization around mental health discussions. And today we are doing this with a psychiatrist, and she's in the person of Dr. Josephine Styles, and she's a psychiatrist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So this is her profile. Dr. Josephine Styles Darko is a psychiatrist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, a member of both the West African and Ghana Colleges of Physicians, deputy head of communications, the MHA, and a part-time lecturer, a mental health advocate passionate about community inclusion and support for persons with mental illness. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so, I mean, we've seen a little bit about your profile here, but can you tell us a little more about yourself?
Well, I think you've summarized pretty much everything. So, yes, I am a psychiatrist with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital Department of Psychiatry. I am passionate about mental health, everything mental health, education, advocacy, community inclusion, as you said. And I'm also with the Mental Health Authority as the deputy head of communication.
Okay, thank you so much. So what's the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist?
Okay, so I think the basic difference is that psychiatrist is primarily a medical doctor who specializes in mental health care. Psychologists are not necessarily medical doctors, even though there are some medical doctors who are also psychologists. But psychologists are more or less therapists, not necessarily medically trained.
Okay. So what are some of the most common mental health conditions that affect individuals?
So, the most common mental health conditions, depression is one of them, anxiety disorders, stress is also common. There are other, like the bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and the like.
Okay. So can you like explain some of these symptoms, some of the symptoms of maybe depression, anxiety? Because now it seems on social media everybody says they are depressed. Everybody says they have social anxiety. Yes, that's what they like to term it.
Okay. So let me start off with anxiety. Anxiety is normal.
Okay.
Everybody feels anxious at one point or the other, depending on what is happening, or usually it is a response to an anticipated event or fear or something like that. But when anxiety becomes a disorder, then it means that this feeling of anxiousness or nervousness becomes a bit more prolonged, or it stays with the person. Even when there's nothing that should make them anxious, they are anxious. They may be anxious about almost everything. Sometimes it is to specific things, but when it lingers, I mean, we all get anxious. For example, if you have an interview, you have an exam, you feel some anxiety, but you're able to pull through. But if this anxiety persists, prevents you from achieving what you are to achieve, then it has become a disorder. For depression, yes, as you said, people throw the term around a lot, but depression is not just sadness, like most would believe. Yes, there is that low mood, that sadness, but we are all entitled to be sad at a point, depending on what's happening. But if this sadness lingers, the sadness persists, the person is not able to pull through it, or is not able to function through it, then it has become a challenge. And not just the sadness, but there are other symptoms I believe we would talk about in the course of the interview that come together for us to say that somebody has depression.
Okay. So are there causes of depression or these anxiety issues that are unrelated to probably environmental causes? Let's say unemployment being a reason somebody is depressed. Can somebody just, for one reason or the other, maybe brain chemistry, just become depressed?
Yes. So when it comes to causes of mental illnesses, it's not just one thing. So it's not just because somebody lost their job that they are depressed. It's not just because somebody lost a loved one. There are a lot of things that come together. We may notice that one thing that may happen to somebody and they may become depressed. Another person may go it and they may not be depressed. So it just tells us that there are a lot of things. So as you rightly said, the seat of the matter is in the brain. We are all made up of genes, talking about the genetics, and it plays a role in almost all the mental illnesses. So somebody's genetics, what is going on in their brain, the brain chemicals, largely that the changes in the brain chemicals are what is responsible for the symptoms that we see or the symptoms that the person portrays. So yes, the genes, what's happening in the brain, coupled with the environmental stresses, all come together to more or less cause the illness.
Okay. So can someone come to a psychiatrist without seeing a psychologist?
Yes.
Okay.
Someone can also see a psychologist without seeing a psychiatrist. But I must say that we work together.
Okay.
So if we see a psychiatrist first, and then we assess the situation and you need to see a psychologist, you would see a psychologist alongside.
Okay.
If you see a psychologist and then they assess the situation and say, no, the psychiatrist needs to come in, the psychiatrist will come in. So you can't see each professional separately, but most of the time we do work together.
Okay. So where does one's role start, or where does one's role end? What are the, what's the word? So where does one person's roles end and then the other begins?
Yes, so it's actually parallel. Okay, so as I said, psychiatrists are mainly medical doctors.
Okay.
So when it comes to addressing mental health issues, amongst other things, we would prescribe medication, monitor the medication, deal with the adverse effects and all that. Offer psychoeducation and all that. The psychologist also comes in with the therapy bit. Okay, so the psychologists would help you through the issues. They do a lot of talk therapy, teach you a lot of coping skills and how you can deal with the situation as you are going through it. So one's work doesn't end and another begins.
Okay.
It goes together most of the time.
So primarily, what services do the psychiatrists offer?
Okay, so it's not just medication. As I said, we work together, the psychiatrist and the psychologist. So psychiatrists can also offer some therapy. Okay. Psychiatrists, aside managing with the medication, we have other therapies. We call them physical therapies, other things that we do that are not necessarily the person having to take a pill. That also helps with their mental illness. Psychiatrists are also into a lot of education. When you read my profile, you said that I am actually a part-time lecturer, so we also have to train those who are coming up in the medical field in the issues of mental health. Aside that, we also work with the families of the patient to be able to help them to understand the condition, to be able to support the person that is going through a mental health issue. So these are, in summary, some of the things that a psychiatrist would do. You would realize that it would be very similar to what a psychologist can also do, apart from the fact that they are usually not prescribers.
Okay. So what are some of the common misconceptions and myths around psychiatry, and how do we debunk them?
All right. So I'm sure your viewers out there can send us some of the myths, but there are quite a number. We've heard people say that persons with mental illness are dangerous, and they are violent. But we know, or it has been shown, that persons with mental illness are more likely to suffer violence than to met out violence on other people. Sometimes because of the fear and the prejudice that people have towards them. If somebody sees a mentally ill person who walking down the street, they will take a stick.
Yeah.
You know, this person may not even notice you, but you have surrounded yourself, people are pouring water on them and all that. I usually say that there are a lot of stories in the news, people harming other people, even murder cases. And if we compare those who are mentally ill committing these crimes as opposed to those who are seemingly mentally healthy, there is a disparity. So it is our own prejudices that make us think that. Another myth is that once somebody has a mental illness, any mental illness at all, they can never be fully well. They can't get well, and as they say in Tree, kakra or mental illnesses are different and varied. And just as we can have different illnesses, somebody can have malaria, somebody can have typhoid, and all these illnesses are treated differently and their cause is different. It's the same thing. Some mental illnesses can be treated and may never care. There are others too that are chronic, and the person may need to be on medication or treatment for long periods. So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. So maybe I'll leave it here. As more myths come in, we'll address them.
I think the common myth I know of is that psychiatrists deal with what society terms as mad people.
That word, we don't like it.
Yes. That's why it's a term.
Yes. So we would prefer persons with mental illness. And that phrase reminds us that we are dealing with people, human beings. They are not to be blamed for their illness. That's another myth. People think that they are responsible when they are to be blamed for their illness. When you get malaria, nobody blames you for sitting somewhere for a mosquito to come and bite you to get malaria. No, it's not your fault that you fell ill. The same way, it's not the person's fault. So we don't address people or tag them or label them with their illness. Yes, psychiatrists do take care of mentally ill persons or persons who are living with mental illness. That's our job.
Yeah. Okay, so with our society, how has our society influenced the ideologies around mental health? You know, for our society in Ghana, in most parts of Africa, I must even say most parts of the world, mental illness is shrouded in a lot of stigma, largely because people don't seem to understand. People will say, we did all the blood tests and the doctor says fine. Maybe I did a head scan, doctor says it's fine. Why is this person behaving in this way? And because we don't understand, there's a lot of superstition around it. There's a lot of discrimination and all that. And largely, that is how society has viewed mental illness, and it fuels the stigma. So we have these negative perceptions about people with mental, about persons living with mental illness, and because of that, we discriminate, we push them aside. Then because of that, people don't come out. They don't want to say, this is the challenge I'm facing. And then they hide, the illness gets worse. Unfortunately, some of them may end up being homeless and found on the streets. Then people say, didn't we say it? Mentally, this person has a mental illness, and look at them. And then it goes right back and the cycle goes on. So for our community, stigma is one of the big challenges Yeah.
today.
So in a situation where it seems throughout the
so it is not something that we it is not something that we have to look on as a punishment. There are several illnesses that people suffer. Why is this one a punishment? And there have been research that has shown us what is going on in the brain, the changes that occur. And that is why when we prescribe medications, they are able to help. When the person goes through therapy, they get relief. So once there is evidence that these are the challenges, these are the things going on in this person's body that is causing this illness, and it can happen to any one of us, then obviously that myth that it only happens to people who have sinned in their past life and all that, you know, it's unfounded, basically. Yes. So there is evidence that mental illness is due to some biological changes in the human body.
Okay. So before we come to recognizing the problems and seeking help, yes, this is a very informative conversation here. So please do well to send in your questions so that our doctor here can answer for you. Our WhatsApp number will be displayed on your screen. And when the phone lines are open, I will do well to notify you so you can call in and ask your questions. So what are some of the early warning signs that somebody is struggling with their mental health?
Okay. So for early warning signs, it has to do with the usual things they all do.
Okay.
For example, sleep. If you notice that there are changes in your sleep patterns. So for some people, they begin to struggle to sleep. It may be that you struggle to fall asleep. It may be you fall asleep, but then you wake up and you're unable to sleep again. Sometimes some people would find themselves worrying excessively over almost everything that they can't even really explain. Some people would have changes in their appetite. Okay. Some people would have changes in their mood. So that's how you're feeling. Okay. You may be very bubbly all over the place, and then all of a sudden this person is withdrawn, doesn't want to mingle. There may be some challenge going on. Some people may feel some form of mental fatigue, so they can't concentrate on what they are doing, they can't focus, they are struggling. Tasks that they usually find easy to do, they begin to struggle with it. Sometimes even house chores. Or the person feels like they don't really have energy. Getting out of bed is a hefty task. Going to brush their teeth. Sometimes they don't even feel like maintaining their personal hygiene. So these are some of the things that may signify that there is something going on. It may not necessarily mean that the person has a mental illness, but it may mean that they are having some challenges and they need to check it before it gets worse.
Okay, Doc, so why are people so hesitant to seek help when they are showing some of these signs and symptoms?
So we've come back to stigma. Stigma. That is the big elephant in the room. So people don't want to be seen, even sometimes walking past the psychiatric hospital or walking past the Department of Psychiatry, because somebody will say, hey, now what are you doing here? You know. Meanwhile, you see people, it's a hospital, and there are doctors there, nurses there to care for people. So when people think about the fact that people would discriminate against them, people would label them and point at their family, say things about their family, they don't want to come out. They don't want anybody to know. They want to hide. But unfortunately, hiding only makes things worse. The symptoms begin to get worse and worse until you are no longer able to control them.
Okay. So back to some of the myths and misconceptions. Our parents, that generation, they tend to call us sensitive and what's the word, that we are always talking about mental health, but they didn't have that. So I think we should try to go into that conversation. What are some of the signs of mental health issues in our parents that now we need to look back at and say, my dad or my mom seem to have been depressed around this time when they beat me really, really badly?
All right. So the signs and symptoms of mental health challenges haven't really changed. I must say that now there is a bit of awareness. So people are more open to the conversation. We are getting there. We are not there yet, but we're getting there. People want to talk about mental health, albeit sometimes, as you rightly said, they just throw the terms out there. But in the past, it wasn't a conversation that we have. So it's not as if it wasn't there, but nobody really wanted to talk about it. If your parent is frustrated, if your parent is stressed, they may take it out through any means necessary. So as you said, sometimes you may get a beating for no reason, and you understand. And nowadays we would say, no, I think I'm stressed, I need to rest. And your parents are like, what are you talking about? Do you know what we went through and all that? But at that time, the conversation wasn't open. People were not allowed to talk about mental illness. I mean, if somebody was going to get married, they have to investigate and make sure that no member of that family has had any form of mental illness. So that they'll say that, no, this house that you are going into, no, somebody has had a mental illness before, so no, we are not going to marry into this family and all that. But nowadays, the conversation is open. People know that there is help. People know that there's treatment for it, and it's getting much, much better. But the symptoms have not changed. For elderly people, they also go through the sleep challenges. They also go through the appetite issues. And sometimes because of their advanced age, they may also have some memory challenges, and that also can affect their behavior. So sometimes elderly persons will say, I haven't eaten for 3 days, and you know very well that you have fed them and things like that. I mean, when they have dementia, it can come along, not always, but sometimes it can come along with some behavioral issues, which are more or less like mental health issues, which we also help deal with, by the way. Yes. So the symptoms are very, very similar. If they are sad, they are sad. The mood is low. They feel they don't have energy to do anything. So, for example, if at that time your mom didn't have energy to cook, didn't have energy to do, they will sit at one place and call you, pick the remote for me, do this for me, do this for me. And sometimes we would also be angry because
that our remote's not here in our family.
So I mean, it's not always the case, but those are some of the things, just that the conversation wasn't open, so most of them were missed at the time.
Because I wanted us to try to, if you as a psychiatrist, maybe you could pinpoint that, okay, maybe sometimes these particular behaviors of our parents were not because we were bad children, but rather they were dealing with something. Like your father is at work and his boss has, probably blasted him or ridiculed him. He comes home and then the whole mood of the house changes, or maybe they've lost some money. You see those kinds of behaviors that when they come home, then everything changes. And we thought, our dad is just a bad person, or he doesn't like us. Those kinds of things are what I really wanted us to go into, so that the elderly who are watching, those little behaviors they put up towards us when we were little, they will know that maybe it was a mental health issue.
So for that, I won't necessarily say that all those behaviors are due to mental health challenges. I think what we have to understand is that our mental health is more or less like a spectrum. We all have good days, we have bad days. So sometimes we may come home tired, frustrated, we may snap Even now, we do it our children.
Yes.
Sometimes you get home and the day didn't go so well. And somebody is pulling on your skirt, mommy, you're not in the mood.
Right.
You see, it doesn't mean that you have a mental health challenge or a mental illness at that point. It's just that the day didn't go too well. And that's a normal spectrum for all of us. So unless the person's parent was that almost all the time, then for that one, we can look at the behavior, look at the symptoms, and then see if that was a challenge at the time. But for the snapping every now and then, I mean, we are all entitled to be stressed and frustrated every now and then. But when it becomes chronic and we are not dealing with it, then it can become something else.
Okay. So what role do hormones play when it comes to mental health or the mood swings? Because you tend to hear these guys making jokes. Hey, this girl is behaving like this. She on her period. Those kinds of questions also come in.
All right. So yes, hormones play a role. I mean, in a woman's cycle, there are ups and downs with the hormones depending on the phase that the woman is in. Sometimes these come with some mood swings and mood changes, but by and large, these are quite short-lived.
Okay.
I mean, a typical menstrual flow for a woman will be anywhere between 3 to 5 days, some 7 days, and they are done. So if some having mood swings and mood changes during that period, yes, the hormones are at play and the hormones play a role. And it's the same thing for pregnant women. Again, the hormones can make emotions a bit all over the place. But there is a threshold. I mean, as I said, we are all entitled to having a bit of mood swings every now and then. But for some people, if it lingers, again, if the symptoms are persistent, they are not moving, they are not going away, and this person begins to feel some form of distress and it begins to affect their functioning, then we would say that this person most likely is developing a mental illness or a mental health issue that needs to be dealt with.
Okay, so what about the men? We've spoken about the women. Do men also have hormones, working one way or the other to mood swings or mental health problems?
So yes, I mean, everybody has hormones. Yes. Men also do have hormones, but we know that typically men don't go through these mood swings like women do. I mean, based on what is happening around the man, mostly the environmental issues, the work frustrations, the man is looking for money. He's not getting the money. And sometimes we also stress them a bit, and all that come together, and sometimes that is what feeds into their emotions and all that. Yes, but typically they do not go through that cyclical changes like what women go through, and so they don't have a lot of those mood swings. But yes, men too can have challenges with their mental health, and it all boils down to the chemicals in the brain, just as it is for the women.
Okay, so I read about cortisol being a stress hormone. How does that also come into play?
All right. So yes, cortisol is called the stress hormone, and stress is a big deal when it comes to mental health. How you manage your stress. If you are very stressed, that means your stress hormones are high. It's the body's response to what is happening around you. So if you're going through stress, there are things that you have to do to be able to cope with the stress or reduce the stress to the barest minimum. If you are not doing this, and then your stress levels are high chronically, your cortisol, other hormones within your body are all over the place. Your physical body suffers, and then your mental health also suffers. So stress is a big factor in somebody getting a mental illness, and it's also a big factor even in relapse. So somebody is doing well, being managed well, and then they get into a very stressful situation, they can easily relapse. So stress is a big deal for us, and we all need to find positive ways of dealing with stress.
Okay. So you know how these social media people keep putting all these psychology things up there? There's this term, fight or flight mode. If you can touch on that for us.
So that is a normal response system in our body.
Okay.
If you are faced with something, you are faced with a danger, yes, fight or flight. So you either stay to deal with it or you run, more or less.
Yeah.
And our bodies have how do you call them? The hormones in our bodies, or the neurochemicals in our bodies and our brains work in that manner. I mean, if you're going somewhere, you see that probably, for example, this place is set on fire. Something you will respond.
Yeah.
You see. So basically, that is that fight or flight response. It is an inbuilt system in our body that we react to dangerous situations. I'm not too sure how they link it.
Well, I think something about being constantly in survival mode. You know, information overload is a lot. So they say survival mode where maybe you're constantly just on your phone, doom scrolling, or you're constantly asleep. Something like that, all relating to your mental health not being the best.
Okay, all right. So yes, for example, for the sleep, I mentioned sleep challenges. The flips is sleeping too much.
Yeah.
So for some people, when they have mental health challenges, they tend to sleep too much, as opposed to not being able to sleep. I mean, being stuck in one mode. I mean, you don't really want to do anything. You spend the whole day on your phone all the time. As you're saying, there's a lot of information out there, and that can even in itself give you that mental stress we are talking about. What are you reading? What are you listening to? And sometimes all these things feed your anxieties. They feed your mood. People go on social media, they see all the your schoolmates is in Dubai today, they are in New York tomorrow, they are in Paris, and then you are sitting on your bed unemployed, just scrolling through their Instagram. Every notification, ping, you pick your phone. All these things have an effect on your mental health. Yes, so if that is the angle from which they are coming from, definitely it does have a toll on your mental health if you stick to those things and then all you do is to live your life on social media. There is even recently we have heard of addiction to social media, addiction to games and things like that, and people are centering their whole lives around this, and when you do that, other aspects of your life begin to suffer. So yes, definitely it does affect your mental health.
Okay. So are there resources available for people who want to seek help?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So what are some of these resources?
Yes. So there are a lot of resources available. There are helplines. The Mental Health Authority has a toll-free helpline, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Anytime you feel like you need help, the helpline is available. Very easy to remember, 0800 678 678. That's the number.
Please, could you take that again for us?
So that's 0800, so 0800 678 678. That's the mental health helpline. Always available. You can call at any time, and then you have someone to talk to, attend to you, and then point you in the right direction. Also, I mean, all our hospitals across the country are open. that's a good place to start.
So before you continue, we want to display it. So if you could take it again for our viewers.
Okay. So 0800 678 678.
Okay, so that's the toll-free number for the
Mental Health
Authority.
Yes.
Okay.
Mental Health Helpline. Yes.
Thank you so much. So yes, you said there are hospitals all over.
Yes. So you can start from any clinic close to you. Yes, because all doctors are, as part of our training in medical school, do pass through the psychiatry department. So there is, you would be able to get some first aid, and then if there is the need to refer you to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or something like that, you get that help. You can also walk into any mental health facility, so any of the psychiatric hospitals. So we have the three main ones. We have the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, we have the Pantan Hospital, both in Accra, and then we have the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital in Cape Coast.
Okay.
There's also the Department of Psychiatry in Kolebu, where I work. Konfanoche has a Department of Psychiatry, Ho Teaching Hospital, other private mental health outlets are also out there. So there is a lot of help. Just come out, speak up to somebody, hold somebody's hand, take them to a hospital. If you don't know a mental health facility in your vicinity, you can go to any clinic and the doctor would point you in the right direction.
So if you want to seek help, just find any clinic and then you can start from there. So of course, I'm sure a lot of people will be shy. You can go with a friend. I mean, now we are talking about mental health, creating more awareness. So let's come to self-care and stress management. It seems self-care now on social media is just draw a bath, put some roses, So can you give us a little explanation on what self-care actually is?
Right. So, just as the term is, it's taking care of yourself. And it's not just about pampering yourself or treating yourself to a luxurious bath, like you said. It's about taking time to know yourself, to know when you need to take a break. We are all looking for money. Now everybody has a side hustle.
Yeah.
So we take a leave from our main job, and that leave is for our side hustle. And then we come back to work.
Still stressed. Even more stressed.
So self-care is all about taking that time to know yourself, know your limit, know when you have to slow down, when you have to pause, when you have to just let go of work. Okay, how is my health? Sometimes you just need that full day of sleep so that you can wake up, and then you are even better able to think through the challenges. How am I doing? Go to the hospital, get that checkup. How are my blood pressures? How are my blood sugars? So being able to do all that for yourself, just take that time off, go into nature, put the phone and the tablets and all the screens aside, and just being able to reconnect with nature, have that fresh air, get out of the air condition, have that fresh air on you, get some exercise. We are used to sit in the car, get to the office, close, sit in the car, come back home, lie down, wake up, and that's the routine. But take time to exercise, even if it's just a walk, jog around the neighborhood. All that is what self-care is.
Okay. So should it be done, let's say, once, or it should be recurrent? Because I think personally, when I take a break, let's say I've gone to the Voltare zone, by the time I get to Atimpuku, everything in Accra that was stressing me just returns. So for someone like that, how do we strike a balance?
Yeah. So I must admit that it's easier said than done when we talk about balance. work-life balance. You say, oh, leave work at work, and when you go home, forget about work. But you're at home, your boss is calling you, you have a show in the morning, you have to pay and all that. Yes, but we do have to make a conscious effort to try and strike that balance, because if you are living all your life at work, the homes, if you ignore work too, that also suffers, and then eventually the home will suffer again. So you are supposed to be able to deal with work at work and make time. So you have to make the time, because otherwise you're never going to have the time. You have to make that conscious effort. Okay, I'm going to, when I get home, it's 2 hours, no WhatsApp, no whatever, and then I'm going to either spend and do some alone time, spend time with the kids. Saturdays are for my family and things like that. You have to make that conscious effort and try your best to stick to it. It's not easy, but mind you, if you're not at work today, work will go on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you very much. It's time for a quick break. When we come back, we will continue the conversation. So you can send in your questions, and when the phone lines are opened, I will do well to inform you, so you can call and ask our doctor everything you want to know about mental health. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show Special Eid Edition. And we're having a conversation around breaking the stigmatization around mental health. And we are doing this with Dr. Josephine Styles Darko. She's a psychiatrist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So, Doc, we have a few questions here. Okay, this one is a comment. It says, hello, Koko Digest. Interesting topic. Very, very insightful, Dr. Styles. God bless you. I am Ajwa Afo from Kumasi. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Then this one says, Yara, good morning. God bless Dr. Styles. Please, what are the common signs and symptoms of mental health issues, and how can I maintain good mental health? So I think the person didn't tune in early enough. So if we can just go over the common signs and symptoms briefly.
All right. So common signs that may be going through a mental health challenge, like we mentioned earlier, you may have some challenges with your sleep, be it struggling to fall asleep or struggling to maintain your sleep, or sometimes even sleeping a bit too much than usual. Also changes in your eating habits, challenges concentrating, challenges focus, challenges achieving things that you usually would achieve easily. Some people may lose interest in things that they previously loved, or you find yourself worrying about almost anything all the time, being anxious all the time, or having these unfounded fears that you can't really place. Yeah, so these are some of the things that may point to you having some form of mental health challenges. I think the other aspect was how
do I maintain good mental health?
Yes. So most of the things that you would do to maintain a good mental health are the same as you would do to maintain a good physical health. So we advise that you eat healthy. Make sure that you're eating well. Eating well means that it's the same old song. Fruits, vegetables, proteins, just balance everything nicely. Get good physical exercise. Make sure that you're taking walks, you're exercising every now and then. Be active. That goes a long way to help with your mental health as well. Also, it is very, very important to take breaks. Take breaks. When you're tired, you're stressed, just take a break. Relax. Get your energy back, and then you can get right back to work or whatever it is that you are doing. And it's also helpful to check in every now and then. I always say that there's nothing wrong with getting a checkup and being told that everything is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So just as you would check up for your physical health, you can also speak to somebody about your mental health. Another important thing is to socialize. Have a support system. People around you you can talk to, you can trust, you can share. Sometimes just offloading everything that you have on your chest brings you some relief, and that also helps with your mental health.
Okay, thank you so much. So the phone lines are open now. You people have been calling, even though I said they weren't open. Now they are open, so you can please call and then ask your question. So there's another question here. This is from Joel Boabing in Nsawam. He says, how does trauma affect mental health?
Okay.
He asked actually two questions. The second one is, what are some of the common symptoms of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder? So the first one, trauma affecting mental health.
Yeah. So trauma here, I'm thinking he's talking about psychological trauma, which can come from anything. So when somebody is exposed to a traumatic situation, it may be something they have gone through themselves or something they witnessed someone else go through. Yes, it does take a toll on their mental health. I must say that it's different for different people, but if somebody has gone through a traumatic experience, it really can affect their mental health. And in some cases, it can lead to traumatic stress disorder. And for post-traumatic stress disorder, there are symptoms include having these repetitive memories of the event or the experience. Sometimes it's almost as if they are reliving the whole experience again. They get these startle attacks. They may they begin to avoid anything that reminds them or seemingly reminds them of the incident. For example, if it was an accident, they may not want to use that route anymore. Some people may even have some panic attacks every now and then if they are exposed to a situation that is a bit similar or reminds them of what they have been through. Yes, so those are some of the signs when it comes to PTSD.
Okay, so speaking of PTSD and trauma, it seems there's also this word that flies about a trigger. You are triggered. If you can shed some light on that for us.
Okay, so in terms of PTSD, as I said, anything at all that reminds the person or simulates that event or that episode, you can't term as a trigger, but that is what brings that memory, that brings that reliving experience back to that person, and it can lead to a whole cascade. The person can be so afraid as if the thing was happening all over again, and sometimes you can have them behaving like screaming, trying to stop if it's, example, a violence or abuse or something, and the entire behavior of the person is as if they are in that situation. So whatever it is that reminds them or that more or less brings back the memory and feelings that go with the memory, yes, more or less maybe that's what we can term as the trigger.
Okay, so are there different reactions to these triggers? Maybe like you mentioned that some people may even sort of fall into remembering and start shouting. Are there people that just shut down and then
I mean, we all react differently. Okay. Even to a traumatic situation, to abuse, to even physical trauma in terms of like accidents and things like that, we all react very, very differently. Yeah. So yes, it's not a one size fits all. Some people can go into a full-blown panic attack. Some people may also even have nightmares about the incident, and some people may just shut everybody out and go through a whole lot of even comorbid mental illnesses aside the PTSD. So yes, the reactions can be different.
Okay, so is there a way to maintain your mental health and then also your relationships around people? Because it seems that sometimes people, they say they are taking care of themselves, so they cut off everyone around them just to, how do you strike that kind of balance?
All right. When I was talking about how to maintain a good mental health, I mentioned that relationships are important. Our mental health thrives on a lot of support. You can't do everything on your own. Support is very, very vital for you to be mentally healthy, for you to even navigate a mental illness. You need a lot of support. So somebody shutting down everything, shutting out everyone and isolating. When I was talking about the symptoms and signs of somebody possibly going through a mental challenge, I mentioned social withdrawal. And that is actually the person shutting out everyone, just keeping to themselves, going to not wanting to relate to anyone at all. Yes, there are times that we want to be by ourselves, maybe meditate, reflect on a few things, but we would usually not, it won't be a lingering thing. It won't be, we will still come out when we need to come out. We will still talk to people when we need to talk to people. You can't shut everyone out for a very long time because we live with people and we need to relate. So yes, it is possible to be able to strike that balance, still have some time for yourself, but then also maintain those relationships that are also vital for your mental health.
Okay, so back to self-care, you mentioned that we need to be able to know when we need to take a break and those things. So can you just give us a few ways for us that are probably indicators that, okay, you need to take a break?
So some of the things are the things we've mentioned, the signs. So you realize that, let me give an example. You're someone that can whip up a presentation in 2 hours and you're good to go. And then you realize that now you have to put up a presentation, you're struggling. Days, weeks, you're still unable to put it together. You take your laptop work and there are so many things on your mind. For example, you find it challenging even to do chores at home. Meanwhile, you are this kind of person that just, get up, get about, get things done. So once you get to that state, you realize, no, something isn't quite right. And I need to pause. I need to take a break and then try and get things in place. So if you're struggling with concentrating, you find it difficult to, sometimes even relating with friends, family, it becomes a challenge. It's like you know this person that is bubbly all over the place. Suddenly, even going out with a friend becomes like a huge task for you to do. So as I said, knowing yourself, knowing your limits, and once you feel that sense of distress, that sense that it's a bit too much for me, you know that no, I need to pause, I need to take a break, allow myself to, as it were, recover, and then I can get back to it.
Okay, so sometimes those of us who get stressed, we go and take a nap and then we are not refreshed. And they say, but you just rested. Sleeping and rest, can you give us the difference?
All right, so you can rest without sleeping. And you can sleep and your sleep will not be restful. Yes, so if there's a lot going on with you, you're stressed, there's a whole lot. You can stay in bed. So as I mentioned, that for some people they sleep a lot. You can stay in bed for almost the whole day and you still feel like you haven't slept in ages. Yes, because you're lying down all right, seemingly asleep, but it's your mind at rest. If there's a lot going on with you, you may have that challenge. Sometimes you may need some help to be able to relax. Therapists can teach you to relax and relax very well. You may lie down, but are your muscles relaxed? Are you able to calm yourself down? And that is why sometimes people think that, oh, what is therapy? But being able to learn how to calm your body down, how to relax your muscles, how to breathe properly so that your body you feel that tension leaving your body is also very, very vital. So yes, I mean, if you're going through a lot, you would sleep, but you're not restful.
So are there foods we can eat to probably sort of keep these mental health issues at bay?
All right, so this question comes up quite a bit. So there's no one food that would say that, okay, maybe eat only bananas and you would never have to deal with any mental health issue. And that is why we usually talk about eating right.
Okay.
Eating right, drink adequate amounts of water. Our brain needs water. So you drink adequate amounts of water, about 2 liters a day, should be fine. Make sure that your food is balanced. Remember that when we are talking about mental health, it has to do with the brain. The brain sits in a body. So you are taking care of everything. You don't just take care of one and leave the other. You do that, the other would suffer. So we are eating right. We are eating well, making sure that our diet is balanced. We are not taking too much fats and oils. We are not taking too much carbohydrates. We do need carbohydrates. We do need fats and oils, but we are trying to moderate it. If you're not too sure about what you're eating, there are dietitians. You can talk to someone. Come together and get a plan for yourself, and then you know what works for you.
Okay, so what about exercise? Because a lot of people say yes, exercise helps them to, ward off some of their depressive thoughts and intrusive thoughts like that. Is that true?
Yes. So exercise is it's very, very vital. Very, very vital. So, you see my shirt says May is Purple Month. So last year, the Mental Health Authority launched the Purple Month, which is a month long for, a month that is dedicated for mental health education and awareness creation. And last year, our theme was Move for Mental Health. And that tells you the value of physical activity when it comes to mental health. Being physically active helps your sleep. Being physically active helps your brain. It helps your body to relax. It does a whole lot for you, including safeguarding your mental health.
Okay. So what if in a situation where maybe I joined my friends to go to the Amahia, the Ebri, the walkway, and then a few meters in I realized, goodness, I can't even breathe, and maybe I realize how unfit I am. Is that not a likely reason I would develop another mental health issues, that okay, my body is so unfit?
Okay, so realizing that you're probably unfit in terms of your physical activity and all that, I mean, it should prompt you to the self-care we're talking about, you see, because self-care, as we said, taking care of yourself. So you ask yourself that, okay, I mean, there are people that genuinely are unable to engage in a lot of physical activity because of probably one condition or the other. That's fair enough. And physical activity is not just about going to climb the every mountain or going to spend 5 hours in the gym or something like that. Just a 30 minutes walk in your neighborhood. Okay. If you like jogging, just taking a 30-minute, 1 hour jog around the neighborhood, what you can. And if you know yourself and you think through taking care of yourself, once you come to that realization, then it means that I think I should try and do a bit more to take care of myself. Maybe I'll do a 15 minutes walk every morning or every evening, and then you start from there, and gradually you are able to be fit. Some of your friends may be suffering more than you, but they won't show it anyways as you climb up the mountain.
Yeah, that's true. So I think we have another question here. But please be reminded the phone lines are open, so please do well to call and ask your questions as you also text us. So this one says, I'm Love Asante from Okunglo. His nephew had a problem with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's been confusing the family. Which one is complex post-traumatic stress disorder?
All right. So for some people, as I said, the trauma sometimes is not direct, or sometimes too it's a whole mix of things that have happened around the person. They have witnessed things, they have been through things, and then it becomes a bit challenging. But with somebody dealing with any form of post-traumatic stress disorder, they need therapy. They need therapy. There are therapies that are structured for trauma, and if they are not already seeing a therapist, I would advise that they do so. That nephew can get help.
Okay, thank you very much. So, coming to support, how can families support, their family members who have mental health issues?
Great. So, families can do a lot, a whole lot. Usually for us in mental health, we in as much as we want to see our clients come to us, we also very much love for the family to come along so that they also get the education that they need. Because for you to support someone, you need to understand what the person is going through. You need to be able to understand what mental illness is, that particular mental illness that your family member is going through. And then how can you come in? How can you support? So family members can support in terms of, apart from financially maybe helping them to their reviews and their medications and all that, they can support them sometimes even in reminding them to take their medication, reminding them when it's time for their appointment, coming along with them to show we are with you in this. Family members can also support by educating other people in the community. If you know about something, if somebody is talking negatively about mental health or saying what they don't know, you are in that position to say, no, don't say that. This could be you, truthfully. And educate them that this is it. I know someone with a similar condition and they're doing very well, they're getting their treatment and all that. So, well, not just families, but the entire society can support by doing this. Churches have a big platform. So forums for education, the media plays a huge role. How we portray mental illness out there when we are publishing our stories, the kind of language that we use, the sensationalism, the dramatizing and making it look very bad. I mean, we can portray the positive side. We can portray the persons that have lived through, that have come out. There are a lot of positive stories out there, and just let people know that once you come out, we would all rally behind you, and you get the help that you need, and you can thrive and make that meaningful contribution to society.
Okay, so my next question is on my heart. This one is, what can workplaces do to create a mental health friendly environment for employees?
All right. So workplaces have a lot to do. And before I even go into this, let me come back to my May is Purple Month. So there is a week in that whole month that the Mental Health Authority dedicates to workplace mental health. And that is because, just as you said, our workplaces take a chunk of our lives. We do spend a lot of time in workplaces, and the environment in our workplace can also affect our mental health. So our workplaces, employers, colleagues all have a role to play in safeguarding the mental health. I mean, if your employees are mentally well and sound, productivity is high and everything goes on well. So creating that environment where people feel safe, people are able to voice out. They are going through challenges, they help. So we have what we call the employee assistance programs. that luckily some workplaces are gradually putting in place to safeguard mental health, support those who are going through mental health challenges and all that, just so that the workplace is a place where people thrive and not where there's stigma and discrimination and all that.
Okay, so if we mentioned some of the languages that, or some of the kind of language that the media uses, but what are some of the ways that the media can actually help educate people?
Okay. So I mean, one of the ways is what we are doing this morning, talking about mental health. I mean, for example, the communications department of the Mental Health Authority, we put out educative materials. The media can help us share articles that can be published. The media can also help by putting the message out there against stigma, educating people. So if somebody, for example, we are here today, if you have another person on set who is labeling people with their illness, you know how people would say, he's bipolar. I mean, we are not our illness. It's a person that probably has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, or a person that is living with bipolar disorder, not he is. You get it. So once we all play our role, say no, that's not the right terminology. I think what you meant to say is this: the person has learnt it. Next time they will not repeat it. So we can, the media and everyone else in society can help us to get that message across, and gradually we would build a Ghana where we are all mentally healthy.
Okay, so we have a comment here. This is by HM Joe. He says, an incident whereby a cockroach landed on a lady. She couldn't bear it and caused a scene there. This incident has gone a long way to affect her mental health, I think. How? I'm not sure I understand your comments, but are there situations like this? I mean, yes, we do get scared of insects and areas, but can it be termed as a mental health issue?
Yes, I also don't really get where the narrative is coming from, but there are, maybe what I would say is that there are certain incidents that one may go or one may experience that may go a long way to affect their mental health. Sometimes it's not even just about the cockroach per se, for in this example, but maybe what happened around the person. So I don't know what happened. Was she so scared that she probably maybe, I don't know, took off her clothes or something, and then you know how the backlash and the pointing fingers and all those things. So remember I said that it's not just one thing that would cause a particular mental illness. There are a lot of factors at play that come together to cause a particular mental illness. So I can't say that the cockroach was the cause, but probably maybe things that happened around, and maybe she was already going through some things that we don't know and all that.
Okay, so let me flip the question about supporting. How do we, or how do I also support somebody I know who's dealing with mental health issues?
All right. So when you realize that somebody is most likely dealing with mental health issues, the first step is to get close and let the person know that I am here. I am not here to judge, so be non-judgmental. They may, if they open up, you may hear things that are a bit surprising, but once you go, or you act shocked, and the person will coil back up. So if you want to support, you have to be open-minded, you have to be empathetic. Let the person know that I am here for you. I am here to help. No matter what the person is going through, you are there to hold their hand. If it means going to the clinic with them, you go with them. If it means calling the helpline and you are with them, you know, so that they know that I am not alone in this. Because sometimes that is how it feels. It's like it's you against the world. So if you want to support, these are some of the things that you have to do.
Okay, so what about in a situation where you are trying to be supportive, provide a listening ear, but it seems as though now the person's offloading of issues onto you to be the listening ear is also beginning to affect you. How do you set the boundary?
Yeah, so it can sometimes we have what we call secondary or vicarious trauma, where you always, so for example, like a psychiatrist myself, always listening to what people have been through, you know, it can also have a toll on you. So as I said, we all do need help at one point or the other, and you seeking help does not necessarily mean that you're mentally ill or you're dealing with a mental illness, but sometimes it's a bit too much. You may need to also offload, do some debriefing to get some of those things out of the way so that you can also manage your own self. Yes, so people that support persons living with mental illness, even relatives, friends, sometimes they can also get stressed because it's not very easy, you know. And they themselves may also need some form of therapy, some form of respite, you know. So, and that is why we actually like that they come along, because sometimes we can see clearly that the person supporting also needs support, and then we come in to support that person as well.
Okay. So how does the person struggling with a mental health issue, how should they be able to make it in a way that they are not branded as their problems? Because there are certain people that it's almost as though life has just dealt them really bad cards with a lot of aspects of their life. So when they come to you, maybe their relationship is bad, their job is bad, their family is bad, and it's like so many things around them are happening that at a point, maybe even the friend they are speaking to wants to withdraw from them. So how does this person manage it that they don't become a burden, so to speak, to others?
Yeah, so if someone is dealing with a mental health challenge, sometimes it's about who you talk to. Okay, so as you said, if you're just there and somebody is bombarding you with all their problems, everything going wrong in their life, it doesn't even have to have anything to do with mental illness. You would get fatigued at a point. I mean, it's like we are all dealing with one thing or the other. Yes, so if somebody is going through mental health challenges, one of the very helpful things to do is to talk to someone who can offer some help. Because if for example, you are the person's friend, you're just sitting and they are bombarding you and you don't even know where to start. Like all that is going through your mind is, you don't know. You don't know what I'm also going through. You know, but if they talk that same, they offload it in a therapy session or something. The therapist may be able to take the problem one at a time, tease it out with them. How can we okay, which one? Let's prioritize. Which one can we solve first? This and this and that. And that is the aim. Yes. So sometimes if a friend or a loved one is doing this, you can just prompt them, okay, I've heard you, but I think that I may not be the right person to help. Why don't we see a therapist? Or why don't we go and talk to this person or that person? You know, sometimes our spiritual leaders, our pastors, our how do you call it? Some other elderly person that can counsel you and things like that. They can take off some of the stress. So this person at that point, because at that point that they are pouring out all that and it's going through their mind, remember that there's also a stressful period for them, and it can trigger a relapse. I spoke about stress and relapse. So you want to make sure that they are getting the right attention, and then they are talking to the right person to be able to get help for their issues.
So you mentioned religious leaders, and it made me laugh a little because of the fact that these religious leaders tend to move towards prayer, at least in the Christian world. So does prayer also help with these mental health issues?
Okay, so as Africans, you can't take our spirituality away from us, and it does us some good. Okay, so what we don't want is everything being channeled to one direction. You know, the prayer helps, spirituality helps. It comes with some form of hope. We had some of these spiritual leaders point people in the right direction, because you can't stop people from going to them. Sometimes they are the first point of call, you know, and then, but if these spiritual leaders also have the education, and that is why I was talking about the education in the churches and in all that, and now most of them are coming on board. Last year, the Mental Health Authority had a forum like that, where religious leaders were brought together and we discussed some of these mental health issues. And once they work hand in hand, it makes a lot of difference. Yes, so they do have a role to play. Spirituality has a role to play. Prayer has a role to play. Yes, so it's a mix.
It works hand in hand. Okay, so wrapping up, what are the key things you would like us to take away from this conversation?
Yes, so the key things I would like us to take, first of all, let's note that anyone at all can be mentally ill, and therefore we should show love, show empathy, and not discriminate. We should not label people by their illness, but recognize them as persons who also have rights, and we should uphold those rights. And I also want to say lastly that help is available. If you're struggling out there, you're listening to me today, please reach out. There's a lot of help out there to help you to navigate the challenges and to be able to return back to your previous state, or to help you to function better.
Okay, thank you so much. This was a very educative conversation, and I hope you also learned something. Nobody is, what's the word? Nobody is immune to mental health issues. Nobody's immune to mental illness. So yes, let us break the stigma around conversations regarding mental health. Let's seek help, and let's provide help and support to anyone around us who is dealing with any mental illness or mental health problems. As the day goes, I hope you keep that beautiful smile on your face, spread positivity, and of course, Eid Mubarak to you all. We hope to see you again on Thursday. Do have an amazing day ahead.